Hey friends, it's Danny. Welcome back to Dine It Frugal. I know it's been a little while since I last uploaded a video, but as you can see, I'm in a completely different location. We've just moved house, so this is my first video back. I know it's been a few months, so thank you for bearing with me, and welcome to all the new people that have come to my channel since I've been away. Today, I'm going to take you along on how to make a big batch of Bolognese sauce. We really love this recipe. It's so easy to make, and I've been making it in tiny little batches, so I'm about to scale up so that we can put some in the freezer, and on a busy nights we can just defrost it and have it with some pasta or whatever else we're going to serve Bolognese sauce with. So I wanted to bring you along for the ride while I make my first big batch of Bolognese sauce. I was really lucky to inherit a large freezer at the new house, which is amazing because my tiny little freezer failed to cope. Well, it coped, but I couldn't stuff what I wanted in there when we were in the apartment. So we're going to get started. We're going to start making this spaghetti bolognese sauce, and step one is to brown our mince. Okay, so what I have here is four 500-gram packages of pork and beef mince. That's what I prefer. You can use all beef, all pork, whatever you want to use for this recipe. I just find that 70% pork, 30% beef is what we like best for our bolognese sauce. But as for the meat component, completely up to you. Let's go ahead and brown it because we need to do that first, and then the rest is easy. So I'm gonna brown this mince in 4 batches, so I'll do 500 grams at a time. And I'm not, because of the amount of fat that I have in this meat mixture, I'm actually not gonna add any oil because there will be enough fat that renders out of the meat. If you use a really lean meat, go ahead and add about a tablespoon of oil when you're browning the mince, but I don't need it, so I'm not gonna do that part. So the other thing that I will do is I'm going to add my onions. You don't have to for this slow cooker bolognese, but I find that the onions, when you don't cook them first, never kind of cook down right, even if they're cooking for a really long time. So I always like to get them to the translucent stage first. So that's why I'm going to add them in with this first batch, just to cook those off. Now my onions are frozen. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I actually cut up a lot of my staple vegetables and keep them in the freezer, like onions, carrots, celery. So that way I don't have to worry about them going bad in my fridge or going bad. I just chop them up, put them in the freezer, and whenever I need them, I just grab them and put them in whatever recipe I'm using them for. I do keep some fresh ones, especially onions, on hand, because sometimes you have recipes that chopped onions don't work for, but for the most time it's a really convenient way of being able to just throw onions or whatever else you need into a recipe. Now I hope you can see this, but you'll see that there's liquid in the pan. You want to go ahead and cook all of that off. You want to cook it so that you can get a little bit of caramelization on your meat for that extra flavor, and cook off all of that liquid. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring you back, because for this batch as well we're going to add our wine, and then the rest of our batches it'll just be browning off our mince. I also do want to mention that a full recipe and a printable version are on my website, dineitfrugal.com. So if you do want to print this recipe, go over to dineitfrugal.com and you'll be able to find it there. I've also put it in the description for you so that it's easy for you to get to. Once your mince is nice and browned and the onions are cooked through, for this batch we are going to add our wine. Now if you're only making a single batch, then you would do this either way, but since I'm making a quadruple batch, I'm going to do this on the first browning of the meat. So I'm just going to add my wine, and we're just going to wait until that reduces by half. I don't know if I mentioned this at the start, but I'm going to mention it now. I've got this over medium-high heat. Alright, so our first batch batch of meat is done. I have the insert of my slow cooker sitting on my bench, and I'm just going to pour my first batch of meat straight into the slow cooker insert. We're just going to keep doing that with all the other batches. So once I've gone ahead and browned all of those, I will bring you back. I will bring you back, and then we'll get the rest of our ingredients ready for our Bolognese sauce. Okay, I have my last batch of meat here, and I'm just going to pour all of that into the slow cooker insert. And that means the most painful part of this recipe is over. So that's the most labor intensive part, browning all of your mince. Now what we're going to do is add all of the rest of our ingredients. So I am going to start off with, we've got carrot, celery, garlic, tomato paste, and as I said before, all of this, all of the ingredients and quantities are in a link down in the description. It'll take you over to my website and you'll be able to print the recipe there if you're wanting to try this. Now I have Italian herbs, sugar, bay leaves. Now I'm lucky enough to have bay leaf tree in my new backyard, which is awesome, but if you don't, you can use the dried ones. I've just gone and picked some off my tree. I've got some stock cubes. Now I'm not going to leave them whole, I'm actually going to crush them so it makes it easier for them to dissolve. My hands are clean, just so you know. I love the fact that I can now make these big batch recipes, put them in the freezer, and then when we need them on a busy night, we've got them there ready to go. I mean, you use the energy once, you dirty everything once, and then you have it in the freezer. Now I have some tomato passata. Admittedly, this is my mum's homemade tomato passata, but you can use the store-bought one. I would look for one that has like onion and basil, or basil and garlic, just to have a little bit more flavour. But if you can't find that, just use the plain one. And last of all, we're going to add in a cup of water. I used it to wash out my bottle so we could get every last drop of that tomato sauce. Last thing we're going to do is give this a beautiful mix so that everything gets nice and combined. Now I'm not going to add salt and pepper to this, or salt and seasoning to this, until the end. We have the stock cubes in there, we have the tomato paste in there which has a bit of salt in there, so I'm just going to let it cook in the slow cooker on low for 8 to 10 hours, and then once it's cooked I will taste it and season it then. And sometimes I don't season it all the way either, just because when it comes out of the freezer, whatever, I can season it based on whatever I'm cooking with it. So I've turned on my slow cooker. I'm going to go ahead and put this into my slow cooker, put the slow cooker lid on, and then I'm going to hit the slow cook button. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to cook it for 9 hours. I'm going to put it on. Sorry. Temperature is low. And then I'm going to hit start. I'll see you back in 8 hours. Alright, so this has been cooking all night. Ended up cooking it for 8 hours in the end, and this is what we have in the morning. Now it's got a little bit, because it's settled, it's got a little bit of oil at the top, but I'm going to go ahead and mix that through, and then what we're going to do is put it into our containers so we can get it in the freezer for our freezer meals. So I'm going to freeze them in this size container. This is about 2 cups worth, so if I need more, I can just take out more than one. I'm hoping that I'm going to get about between 8 and 10 of these, so I'm going to prepare 8 and then we will go from there if I need more. But all I've done is I have labelled the tops of these. I've just put the item, which is Bolognese sauce, the date, and how much is in each of these, which is about 2 cups. So that's what I'm going to continue to do now, and then I'll bring you back when I'm filling up the containers. So our Bolognese sauce is nicely now portioned into these 2-cup containers. What I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and let these cool down completely. I'm going to put them in the fridge, I think, and then we're going to go out to the freezer and put them in the freezer, which is going to be their holding place until we go ahead and use them. So here I am out in the garage. I am next to my giant freezer that we inherited with the house, which is amazing. I have been able to start stocking up incredibly in my freezer with discount deals and meat that's on clearance and food that's on clearance, just because I have so much more space than we had when we were in the apartment. So this has been amazing. I'm going to go ahead and put in my Bolognese sauce. I ended up getting 7 of these portioned out, so I think they come to about $4. $4 each. So with some pasta and some Parmesan cheese, it's about a $5 to $6 meal, which is amazing because that's a nice cheap way to get through a busy night. Through the meal plan. So this is awesome. I'm going to go put these in there. Now, I kind of need to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, just because when we moved in, I threw everything in here and haven't really taken much notice of it since. So my plan is to go ahead and organise this so it's a little easier to access food than it is right now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go away and make this big batch Bolognese for yourself. As always, I really enjoy having you in my kitchen. I will see you next time, and if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Bye!